Hello, welcome. This is some exclusive underground soul, by the way. My project coming soon. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, to everybody. Live and direct. Beautiful Sunday. You know, it's raining out here, but it's okay because we don't worry about the weather. All that is external. It's a sunny day internally. It's a beautiful sunny day right now. I'm going to play this one more time. I'm going to wait for whoever else is going to come on. And I'm going to just bring it. I'm going to give y'all some powerful info for the day. I'm going to keep it nice and, what do you call it, concise. You know. And any questions before, put them on there. I'm going to answer like whatever questions are left at the end. Inner Alchemy. This is the podcast. Hey. We're live on Zoom. If you want to watch it live, log on to Zoom. Oh yeah, it's in my bio. So for people who don't follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is God_JANI, Godjani. Go on there. I have the link to Zoom. You'll be able to watch all the podcasts live. We're doing this one live, Inner Alchemy. This is my favorite show. I'm very excited about this show. I love talking about dating and relationships. I love talking about MBTI, about the mind and psychology, you know. But I really enjoy talking about the internal world because that's what we can't see, you know. And that's what my album's called Underground Soul. And it's for a reason because underground to me represents the unconscious. It represents going within the tunnel of yourself where there aren't a bunch of answers, you know, where you didn't get a tutorial on what to do. And you have to figure out this chaos in the dark. You see, chaos, darkness, they both go together. But in this podcast, I'm going to show you guys how to embrace it and realize that there is no dual thing going on. That's what they want you to think, you know, and that's how you end up having the split energy. So we're going to put all of that to rest on this podcast. We're going to kill anxiety, kill depression, any of these things that leave us confused internally. We're going to really put that to rest. So get ready. The song's almost done, so I'm about to go in. Get ready. From the underground. I love that beat. The beat is so awesome. Okay, so welcome. We're live. It is the first episode of Inner Alchemy. As I mentioned earlier, this podcast is about the internal self. It's about embracing the good, the bad, because what you'll learn in this podcast is there is no good and bad. Essentially, there's just degrees and angles of things. To kind of keep it simple, it's like, okay, you might see a fish getting eaten by a shark, and you might think that's bad for the fish. But there really was no good or bad because think about it, that was good for the shark, right? So what you realize is there's nothing but degrees of things going on. Like there's a version of me, a Johnny when I was a baby. And then there was a version of me when I was 13 and I was in middle school and high school. Then there was a version of me when I was in college or when I was, you know, out of high school. Then there's the version of me you see right now. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, which one was me, right? Really, none of them were me. It was the internal me going through the external phases of myself. So I say all that to say is there'll be a time where I'm an old man, hopefully, you know, and I'll be on a cane and somebody might see me like, oh man, even though I'm all about eating fruits and vegetables and everything. So I ain't gonna be on no cane. I'm gonna be I want to be one of those active old men who's walking around playing basketball at 80 years old. We'll see. But somebody might see me at that age and be like, oh man, that sucks to be that old, whatever. But really, I might be living my best life at that point in time, because essentially they're just seeing me in a period of time, and what I want people to understand is we're flowing through all of these conditions in life. We start off from the baby to the apprentice or whatever, to the adult, to the midlife crisis, to the older, and then finally we're old, right? But through all these shifts, you want to have this one centered internal peace. Now, the difference between this internal peace that sounds so airy and so elusive, right, is that we need to understand that when we think of peace, it's not like everything's perfect. That's not what we're talking about with peace, because why search for perfection in an imperfect world? Anything looking out here is only as perfect as you can think it to be perfect. Let's talk about like a current event that just happened. A lot of people made a big deal about the Aisha Curry thing and all of this stuff. And to me, that has nothing to do with anything. But one thing you will notice is even when you see people in positions in life where they're quote unquote successful, they have the husband that a lot of people would dream for or whatever, the external conditions seem so beautiful. They still have a little splinter piece that doesn't give them the perfect world. Like, I'd like things to be like this. She expressed something that she still desires more of. And to me, what that showed is you could have the money, you could have the success, you could have the family, but the nature of the human nature, shall I say, the nature of the human is that you're always going to want what you don't have. And as long as you're seeking what you don't have, you can have everything. And as we all know, you'll have nothing, right? So with that being said, on this show, we're going to ease all those tensions. And I kind of want to get right into it, okay? Anxiety, depression, sadness, confusion, all of these different things. I hear it every day. I see the smiles at work. We go to work. We're all happy. We're all, oh, hey, Bob. Oh, hey, what's going on? Hey, blah, blah, blah. But you're not fooling me because we're on planet Earth. So we put the face on. We put the mask on. But people are still dealing with things like anxiety. People are still dealing with things like they don't get it. Like I know people who have a good life and they get anxiety for no reason. It's just like, why do I feel weird? And they just don't get it. So we're going to shine the light on that because I know exactly what's going on. I can only speak to you right now because I'm a human like you. And I've been through I have the same internal energies that everyone else has. So what I've learned is through experiencing these things enough, you're like, hold on, we got to figure this out. Now, the medical system and pharmacy, they're going to say, hey, buy these pills. Come take these pills so you can block off the signals that are going from your brain to your body saying, I feel weird. And essentially, I like the idea. I mean, I get the idea, but the only problem is it handicaps you because then you begin to lack the ability to deal with your own energy. So it's almost like if you want to do push-ups, and let's say your arm kind of hurts a little bit, and the coach says, okay, just do the push-ups that you do when you're on your knees. And you just do the push-ups from the knees, like the kind of push-ups that the women do. And then, you think that might do better for the arm. Let's give the arm a break. And let's say you keep doing those push-ups. And what you realize is it's a handicap. So it served its purpose, but you have to go beyond that. Okay? And essentially, when you put more pressure or when you put more resistance on the arm, it gets stronger. Okay? And then you'll be able to build muscle by actually challenging yourself. So this is a call of action. I want to challenge the people listening to this podcast today to, for a second, think to yourself, can I master my own energy? I know this anxiety feels really annoying. I know this depression. I know these things that bother me feel so weird, but can I actually control it? Is that even possible? Or is it too, I'm going to just take these pills. That makes more sense to me. Well, I'm here to tell you, you can definitely master it. This, I promise you. But first you have to open up the room and the space in your mind to think that you can master it. You see, you can't change any condition in life until you keep the space open in your mind that it can be changed. If I tell you right now, you know you can be immortal, you know you can live to be 150 years old in the perfect of health, you're going to think I'm a moron. You'd be like, what? It's only like 1.0001% of people that even live past 100, right? But guess what? You just created your own box, because just like the airplane, just like the cell phone, just like everything we have that makes no sense. I don't know about you, but the cell phone to me to this day makes no sense. And airplanes. Okay, I get it. I can read Wikipedia and find out how they did it. But what I'm saying is, if we were in 1742, and you're telling me, I think we can find a way to fly in the air, you'd be considered a moron. If I told you in 1742, well, let's create these devices where we can talk from all over the world, right? They'd be like, what are you talking about? Think about it. When you're on a cell phone, you're communicating with somebody through signals in the air. What the fuck is that? There's no string, there's no cord that's connected all the way in wherever your friend is in California or whatever the fuck. You're watching me live right now. This makes no sense. You see, I need you to first understand. Oh yeah, you already know. I want you to understand that there's already magic. There's already stuff going on, but we're not paying attention. We're going to doubt the ability to live past 100, right? We're really going to doubt that. And we live in the same world where we have planes going out. We have things going out into space. You're able to watch me live. We have information going coming from everywhere. So first and foremost, we got to understand that when we start thinking of possibilities that seem out of the scope of reality, that's where you need to think. You see, let's say there's a circumference of the collective consciousness. Let's say everybody is in a sphere of thinking. The people that push the generation forward, the people that push the consciousness forward, are the people like me and you on this podcast, right? You know it, my man, Hollywood. You know, we're on the cusp. We have to be on the cusp. Don't worry about the rest. I get it. I know your cousin, I know your uncle, I know your friend are like, man, I don't believe in that. We don't have to convince them. We were never able to convince them in the first place. Anybody who changed the culture, they never was able to convince the people they're with in that time, right? So it's not about them. It's about the people who get it, like me and you, like the people that are on this call, the people who are watching this right now. We're responsible to push the culture forward because it is essentially our time. You know, you go from a time as a child and you kind of expect, okay, mom's going to take care of this. You watch the news. Oh, yeah, the president's going to take care of that. I'm not worried about that. Oh, this. Okay. Everyone's taking responsibility for things. But as we come of age, you then begin to find yourself in a position where it's you and your peers. And you have to wonder, okay, who's going to be the one to kind of push it forward for us? We can be at the cause or we can be at the effect. I could wait for somebody to save the day. I could wait for the next Obama, whoever that person may be. Right? Or are you crazy enough to think maybe I might be that motherfucker for it? And it doesn't have to be in the media and in the spotlight. You can be the Obama or whatever major figure, MLK, whoever, in your community, in your environment, because that's where the real work is done. I look at it like this, politics definitely has its place, right? I'm not going to be super kill the government and all that. But what I will say is, when we look at every change that has occurred in our society for the better, it really happened on the social level. When we look at the civil rights movement, the women's rights movement, any major movement, it wasn't because the president saved the day or the politician came in and saved the day. It was that guy on the street that built the movement. And he built it up so powerful that finally a politician said, dang, I need to do something about this, because otherwise I'm not going to get no votes. You see, it's us on the ground level that makes the change. We're not waiting for nobody anymore. You see what I mean? It begins with you, right? So now, to deal with what I said, anxiety, depression, these kind of things, right? Let's get right to it. These energies, as I explained, are attacking the best of us. We have people in Hollywood. Even if you can watch the Red Table Talk, you can watch any show where people are being real about life. You can watch anything. People are going through it. And that lets you know, don't let the money be the escape. Oh man, all I need is that bag. Oh man, all I need is this. Oh man, I just need a wife to make. Oh, I just need a husband. It's so many things you can name. And I could point you a million people who have that. And they're dealing with anxiety, they're dealing with depression. They don't know what to do. They're like, damn, I done got everything. What am I supposed to do? It's because they're missing it. It is internal. Begins with the internal. So, why is the internal world of people so conflicted? Where does this anxiety come from? I'm going to give you I'm going to point exactly to where anxiety is. It's a split. Anxiety it begins when you have two energies that are conflicting somewhere within the body. And a good word I like to link with anxiety is confusion. Because when you think of confusion, I think of a con has fused with my mission or my thought or my purpose, whatever it is. There's a con that's fused into my mind that's making things difficult to pick. Whenever you're in a state of confusion, you're essentially beginning to step into a chaotic state, which isn't bad. I want you, in this podcast, we're going to learn to embrace chaos. The idea is, though, there's a conflict now. So you begin to realize this anxiety, it's not really anything external necessarily. It's internally, you're thinking this, you're thinking that. Now, you might not know what it is because a lot of this is on a subconscious level. So you might be wondering, like, why do I feel anxiety right now? But what you'll find is subconsciously you have this split, divided energy that you need to make whole so that you are now operating as one consistent flow of energy. And where do we get that split energy from? That's the question. And essentially, that split energy begins with when we were children. That split anxiety energy begins with when we step into life. Okay? We get mixed messages. You grow up, let's be all you can be. What are you going to be when you grow up? I'm going to be a president. What are you going to do? I want to be an astronaut, right? So when you're young, you're given the idea that anything is possible, that you can be anything, that they want you to tackle on and take on the world. They want you to essentially give you the idea that anything is possible. But then you notice as time goes on, you begin to deal with life. You begin to deal with the pushback. Oh, you got to go to school. You can't speak right now, Susie, because we got math class going on. Oh, I don't feel like going to math class. You got to go. You got to be in school from 8 to 4. Then you come home. And you got to do this. Your parents are telling you what to do. Then you go up into middle school, and now you got to deal with social norms and mores. And, oh, okay, I got to dress this kind of way. I got to be this kind of way, right? Then you grow up into real life, and then you have this divided energy of, I have to be this nice person at work. Oh, hey, Bobby. Hey, Susie. Hey, whatever the fuck, right? Then you go home and you bumping gangster rap. Or you go home and you sitting here ready to watch a TV show, that's just ratchet. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. What happens is we end up having to play these characters that divide our energy. These are not characters that we choose to be, which is what I want us to begin to think about. Right? This isn't the character of I'm the king, I'm the queen, I'm the goddess, I'm the prince, I'm the princess. You see, these characters are a little bit more fun. I'm a rock and roll star, whatever, right? No, these characters are, I'm a call service guy, or I'm a construction worker, or they confine you. They're titles that we take on out of survival versus characters we take on from choice, from our imagination, right? And essentially what it causes us to do is we feel like in life we have to split our energy. Prime example, I know people who are out on Saturday nights doing Lord knows what, right? Then they wake up on Sunday and they're like, oh, I got to go to church. I got to have my tie on, I know people who live their own life, people who do all kinds of stuff on the dark side of life. But then when they're in front of everybody, they kind of got to be a certain way. And essentially what that does is it splits our energy. And what happens is, because of this split energy, it manifests itself into our everyday life. We don't know it though. See, the way we got to understand is, when we deal with anxieties and pressures and depressions, these things happen in the subconscious mind more so than the conscious mind. So people are looking consciously for, why am I feeling these energies? But what they're missing is, you're not going to find it consciously. You're not going to find it out here. Okay? It's a subconscious thing. It comes from months and months of compressing your energy, months and months of dividing your energy, months and months of having to be a shell, like a small version of yourself. And then the subconscious mind begins to vent and let this energy go. And then in your conscious experience, you begin to feel anxiety, depression. You begin to feel split. So that's one big thing I want you to understand. So with that being said, right, first I want to deal with that. How do we fix that? Here's the first thing that we need to understand. Nature. We have the ideal version of ourselves that exists in our mind, but then we have humanity. We have a human experience. And in that human experience, we all have to deal with the human aspects of ourselves, which I would title be the dark side, I guess. The side of ourselves that aren't so pretty. The fact that you got to take a shower every day just to be clean. The fact that, you got a side to you that you have this natural sexual drive, for example. And then you'll listen to different philosophies that tell you to suppress that sexual nature, or to suppress that nature that wants to do whatever it wants to do, right? We look at dogs and we have to civilize dogs, right? Quote unquote civilized dogs. And so it essentially make them go against their nature so that they act a certain way. But we have to ask ourselves, the dog is still the dog, right? The dog still just wants to run around and take a shit somewhere. It just wants to do what it wants to do. And instead of you looking at that like, ugh, that's so animalistic. What if I told you to embrace the animal? You first must embrace your nature. We're in a society, and we've been civilized, of course. It's been a lot of European civilizing going on, right? And in the European culture, we've been taught to look at primal nature as less than, or primal nature as don't be like that, be the opposite of that, right? But what that causes us to do is it causes us to deny a very, very powerful aspect of ourselves. Think about that. And by the way, take notes while you're watching this. Anytime I'm doing inner alchemy, you should definitely take some notes, because there's going to be stuff that you should also do some research on after. Like, I'm going to give a few homework assignments to look at that will be very helpful for you, because that's where the real power is. But the nature. So you're looking at your nature side, the side that eats, sleeps, and shits, the side that wants to the side that wants to twerk, the side that wants to be like, I'm the man, I want to ball on y'all. Like, the side that just wants to be in control, in power, right? You can't really feel empowered on a level if you're denying your nature. You see, instead of dividing your energies and saying, okay, I want to be this holier than thou character and leave that old nature behind, right? What it does is it causes you subconsciously to shame yourself. You're shaming your nature, you see? And I see it. I even see it with people I care a lot about. There's people who had some tough pasts. I know some people who had some tough pasts where my brother Jay, where they're not so happy about the things they did. They might have been robbers, killers. They might have done some bad things. It could have been even more petty. Could have been just, I had to go to jail a few times, and I'm tired of that past. I don't want to be that person. And so they say, all right, I'm going straight into the church. I'm 360 in it, or I'm 180 in it, right? I'm leaving all that behind me. Well, when they do that, consciously, I get it. It's a beautiful idea. But subconsciously, it creates a division within yourself. So You might be proud of the self you are now, but you are ashamed of who you were then, right? So now you're trying to move forward, but you deal with these battles of anxiety or depression. I'm not as happy because you might not know it or not, but in your mind somewhere, you're ashamed of parts of your experience of life. So, or men or women, there's women who had some tough past or tough experiences, situations where they might have been taken advantage of, or situations where they might have been misguided. Same thing with guys, situations that they're not proud of, situations that they wouldn't tell their friends, right? So it's the things that we hide in the darkness, that we try to bury away. But what we don't know is in the subconscious mind, it's just buried because you can't run away from it. It's one light away. As soon as you put your attention on that scenario, it comes right back. So you find yourself trying to run away from something that is a part of you. So what if I told you, instead of trying to divide it and throw it away and forget it and never see it again, what if I told you that that thing right there is the thing that's going to make you more powerful than everyone else around you? I'm talking about the negative. Like right now, there's people who know me. Like there's somebody who can roast me. Like I'm sure that if we was I'm from Maryland, okay? People used to Joan, quote unquote, like people will roast you. Okay, you better know how to joke around if you're from this area. I'm gonna tell you right now. That's why we got people like Martin Lawrence is from here, Dave Chappelle, because you ain't making it out of middle school or high school without knowing how to defend yourself verbally. Okay, but I say that to say you can get roasted. Somebody can always pull your card, right? We're walking around like, oh, I'm better than him. I'm better than her. Or, oh man, I'm worse than them. I'm worse than her because of X, Y, Z. What if I told you that those negative things, those things that you're ashamed of, if you embrace that, if you put yourself in a position where you can't shine a light on my insecurities because I already did. You can't hold that against me, bro, because I already embraced that. We're going to be proactive rather than reactive. Everything about me that people can make fun of me about, or that, oh yeah, this about it is blah, blah, blah. What if I told you, oh, thank you for letting them know because you know what? Let the world know. I don't care. That's a part of my experience because that shows you just how more powerful I am now. If you can point to something in my life back then that was less than, and if I'm here right now shining, right? That tells me that if we had to look at a curve, right, in life, you're either going forward or backwards. It's either a plus or a minus. You're either going up or you're going down. Obviously, I've risen up because if I was in this low condition back then, and if I'm in this better condition now, and if you're going to point to that low condition back then, what that tells me is you're stuck back there, bro. Like you're behind. If we was in a race, like you way back there. I'm way over here. That's like making fun of Michael Jordan because he got cut from the JV team. Well, Michael Jordan ain't all that good. He got cut from the JV team. I made it back in 75, 77. I made the JV team. Oh, congrats, bro. And Michael Jordan just ended up shitting on your whole life, right? Well, yeah, I don't care. Yeah, you're stuck, bro. You're stuck. You are stuck. You see, we can't deal with people that are stuck. We can't deal with people that are stuck because it's not because we don't care, but it's because we got some place to go. So, first things first, you need to embrace the energies, the good and the bad energies. There's no more dividing, okay? And this is going to be very important because as you move forward in your life, even when you go into work, I'm going to tell you something. The more powerful you become is when you have to act less. And since my boy Jay is on the line, let me tell you something powerful Jay told me. Shout out Jay. The energy of trying. I'm going to tell you what the energy of trying is. Imagine you're like 5'2", right? And you're trying to pick up something on a high shelf that you can't reach. And let's say there's this dude that's 6'8" standing right next to you. You'd be like, can you get that for me? For you trying to get that, you have to try. It's like an energy to it. It's like, oh, I got to do extra. And then for that guy at 6'8", it's just like, oh yeah, here you go. Now let's reverse it. Let's say that same 5'2" person is picking up a shelf that's down here. It's like right on the ground, and he picks it up, right? He's like, oh, there we go. And the 6'8" dude is like, oh man, can you pass me that? Because for him to get it, he'd have to go down and do the most just to pull it from underneath, and he'd have to try. So when you have divided energy, or when you have to go and put on a face, there's a trying energy in that. And that trying energy, what it does is it makes you have to go outside of yourself, which creates this kind of division from the self of when you're comfortable, when you're moving on your purpose, when you're moving on your energy, your frequency. So first and foremost, we want to embrace this split. But beyond that now, right? That's easy to say. How do we really hold that energy down? How do we really stay grounded? Because there's so many changing conditions. 7 universal laws, you got to look those up, because one of those are polarity, which means there's going to be good sometimes, there's going to be bad sometimes. You see, that's important to me. That's very, very, very important to me. That's very important to me because we have expectations from friends, from family, from parents, where it's like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you perfect right here? Why did you have these grades? Why is this going on? You see, I don't deal with that split. Like, I don't deal with like, oh man, I'm in this condition now. Damn, I fucked up. Like, ugh. For me, it's like, okay, there are no failures. There's just results. Let me say that again. There are no failures. There are no failures. There are just results. So what does that mean? They're just results. For every failure I have, right, I now have an opportunity to shine the light on an area that was dark in my mind, which means once I put enough attention on that area, I'm going to be more intelligent. I'm going to be more aware. I'm going to be more powerful. So essentially, nothing can work against me, because any negative experience has the ability to make me stronger now. If I embrace it, if I run away from it and I'm mad and I'm ashamed, I'm just destroying myself. Because one thing about Mother Nature, if you want to understand feminine energy, it is an energy that if you're not up to par, if you're not confident, if you're not powerful enough, you'll get destroyed. And if you don't believe me, let's look in the jungle, let's look in nature. How many times have you watched Animal Planet and you've seen a deer running around with a messed up leg, and that lion is just looking at it, and that lion crushes that deer? That shark crushes the smaller fish. That hurricane destroys the whole town. People are crying, Hurricane Katrina, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. We're crying, right? But Mother Nature's not crying. The hurricane keeps going, it's going to destroy whoever's next. So instead of being in a state of energy where we're like sad about shit, we got to realize, like, nobody feels sorry for me. Nobody feels sorry for me, so I'm not going to feel sorry for me. Not because I shouldn't. You have the right to feel sorry for yourself. I mean, there's times where you're like blown about life. I get it. But it's only because it's not effective. We have to think mathematical. We have to depend less on just feeling. If we want to balance feeling, and I'm a person who feels, but if we want to balance feeling, we have to be mathematic. We have to embrace logic. We have to embrace the facts. Because the more facts and knowledge and truth that we have, the more that our emotions can properly respond to things. Because emotion is nothing but energy and motion. So if the energy is going to be in motion my whole life, I might as well have structures in place to make sure that my energy is working for me rather than against me. Working for me, meaning my energy is going out to create, rather than working against me, meaning it's imploding on me. Why me? Why am I so sad? Why is this happening? Why did he cheat on me? Why did she not tell me this? Why did he not? Why is my son acting crazy? Why is my mom acting crazy? They're doing whatever they're doing, right? For me, I'm about to be strong. So how am I going to be strong? How am I going to be able to have all my energy work for me? How am I going to take my energy and be one rather than have it be divided? You see, rather than being, oh man, I feel like I want to feel happy, but this. I want to feel happy, but I just got in a car accident. You just split your energy up. You just missed it. How do you take that accident and be like, and make that a part of your experience where you're whole, where everything works for you? And it begins with an internal shift, first and foremost, to understand that, look, there's nobody getting through this planet that's not dealing with good and bad. Bottom line. They could look perfect, whatever. In my mind, everyone has challenges. So the key is, if you want to separate yourself from the masses, if you want to separate yourself from the rest, if you don't want to have to sit here, I see people all day on Facebook, on Instagram. People really are dealing with anxiety. People really are. People who you wouldn't think. People saying, hey, pray for me. People saying, getting through. So people can try to fool it all they want, but you ain't fooling me. I know the laws. It's the law of polarity. It's not difficult. There's going to be good and bad. You can't get around that. So now that we've established that mathematical science, that's a fact, we now use it and say, okay, through the good and bad, if good things are happening, I'm embracing it, right? We don't deal with shame. It's good to be humble, but it's time for people to humble to be giants. You must be humble as a giant. So every good thing you do, I'm shining the light on that. Oh, I just got a raise. Oh man, I'm the man for getting a raise. I'm that woman for getting a raise. Oh, I just I just worked out today. Shine the light on that. Grab a flashlight and shine the light on that. Embrace that. Like, you just did something that the rest of, everybody's not doing that. Especially in certain communities, it's almost like you're shunned for feeling empowered, for embracing things. Oh, you're cocky. Oh, you're arrogant. You need to embrace arrogance. You need to embrace cockiness. You need to embrace anything that builds you. Because if you can't be arrogant, if you can't be cocky and happy for yourself, how are they going to be happy for you? There's not people walking around when I'm going to work. Oh, hey, Ajani, congratulations for being alive. Congratulations for this. Oh, Ajani, do you need help with that? Yo, people are living their own world. So at least in my sphere of my world, I'm shining a light on the great things I do. Because if I don't do it, that means I'm going to have to depend on someone else to build me up. I'm going to have to depend on someone else to shine a light on me. I'm going to need other people's attention to feel worthy. No. It begins internally. You shine a light on the things about you that you embrace, right? But here's the other side now. Negative experiences. It's the same thing to me. Oh man, I just got in an accident. Damn. Or, oh man, this happened. Oh damn, she just broke up with me. I'm naming some really extreme stuff, by the way. Like, most of us get upset about simpler things than like the stuff I'm saying. But even if you put me in that horrible situation, to me now it's an opportunity, because now if I can shine and glow and find the positive in this experience that's negative, I now am even more powerful. Because the way I look at it, I'm like, damn, bro, I just got in this bad scenario. Why am I feeling so powerful right now? You are a dope motherfucker. Like, how you do this? How did you go through this horrible scenario and you're still standing here shining, knowing everything's going to be fine? That's power. If you want to know what power isn't necessarily the car. Power isn't about having all this external stuff, even though those things are a reflection of something you're doing right. But power is when things aren't going your way and you still persevere and you still feel really good. That's when you really see who's powerful. It's easy to be powerful when the world is on your side. Like, it's easy to be powerful if I'm in a game and I hit the 3-pointer and everybody's there. Okay, and I'm like, yeah. Yeah, it's easy to be powerful because the whole world is on your side. What about when you're going for a layup and you miss a layup and everybody's like, oh, you might feel real weak then, right? But I'll tell you, the dude that's really powerful, he missed that layup and he'd be like, well, goddamn, I'm about to get the next one. People would be like, are you crazy? Like, what are you smiling for? You missed the layup. Bro, regardless of whether I miss a layup or I make the game buzzer, I'm on this frequency regardless. The external ain't gonna change what's going on in here. So I want you to understand that when negative things happen, it's a test, and then it's a testament to how powerful are you going to be? How powerful are you going to be when your back is against the wall? Because you really never know how powerful someone is. You really never know who really has your back. You never really know who is for you or who's really going to hold it down until something goes down. You ever been in a scenario where everybody, you already know, because you know, when you're in a scenario where everybody is, when you're the man or when you're the woman or when everyone's kind of, everyone's for you. Everybody wants to ride the wave. When you do something successful, everybody wants to be a part of it. There's been times in my life where like I've had good energies going on, good people, successful things going on, and it seems like everybody's there for the ride. And then as life begins to hit you and things begin to change and some things might crumble, and as time goes on and all the glamours, has fell down and now you're just with yourself, you look around and you're like, where's everybody at? All those girls that were, cheering for you, guess what? They on the next ride. They on the next plane with the next guy who's winning, right? Or, damn, the guy that was there at the time when I was shining and he was, now that things are going on, now I'm in a tough state, now that I'm dealing with stuff, where's he at? Oh, he might be at the club ready to holler at the next glamour. You see, everyone's going after the glamour. If the Golden State Warriors win the NBA championship, oh, Steph Curry's the man. If they lose, oh man, Steph Curry's going to leave. He's going to get traded. Look at this. If you wake up every day and you watch the news, it's this big thing. Next day, it's this thing. You spend an hour asking how you can edit. Oh, that's awesome. Shout out Instagram. But there'll be changes in conditions all the time. There'll be changes in conditions. And what you have to understand is, instead of putting your attention on that, it's gonna slow you down because it's gonna have you going up and down. That's what they're trying to have you do. Go up and down. You wake up today, oh, the Super Bowl is today. You wake up the next day, oh, somebody just got in a car accident. It was a big car crash. Oh, they elected this president. Oh man, they elected this president. We just saw it. For the people who love Barack, they were happy and other people were sad. They elect Donald Trump. Someone else is happy, someone else is sad. So you can follow that ride. You can follow that ebb and flow. Or you can say, while all of this goes on externally, I'm going here. So now that I've explained the division that's going on, because that's a major piece to why people have anxiety and sadness, it's a split. They have to wear a mask. They can't just be one them. Like I'm in a phase in life right now where I'm just me. I might be a life coach, whatever, but I'm a cuss. I'm going to listen to rap music. I'm going to do everything everybody else does. I ain't no holier than thou. I'm just like you. You know what I mean? I don't have nothing to act holier than thou about. I'm just like you. So first and foremost, I'm eradicating all of these split divisions. And if I am going to take on a different character, it's going to be a character that I choose. It's going to be a big character. It's going to be a larger than life character. So I don't just go out on a weekend as I'm a Johnny and I just got off of work doing whatever the fuck, lab tech, doing sales, doing marketing, doing consulting, because I do consulting. But it's bigger than that. When I go out, I'm going out as a king. I'm going out to have the time of my life because I didn't put in so much work. It's hard for us to appreciate the things about our life because it isn't like the tribal days. Like in the tribal days, you'd be able to track how great your time was based on things you did. Like I would have had to get food out in the jungle. Imagine if I came home every day and was like, I brought home a deer when everybody was hungry, or I had to go out and hunt, or I had to go out and create, and we just built a house. See, so then as the weeks go by, we're like, okay, we can see what we've done. But now we're in a day and age where you get your food from the grocery store. We're in a time now where most people are 9 to 5s. We have blocks of time where we basically kind of do the same work. So we're putting in all of this work. We're putting in hard work, hard energy, but we can't appreciate it because it's routine. We don't realize how much we're creating day to day. So what we have to do is begin to put the focus and the light back on what we're doing, right? And begin to be one. Begin to be one. And if we are going to go out and do something, we have to embrace a bigger frequency, a bigger image. You have to be more than human, you see. So we embrace our humanity, first and foremost. I'm not ashamed of anything in my life experience because I'm human. And By being a human, I have no choice but to have good and bad. That's number one. So embrace that, first and foremost. Number two, the negative experiences that do happen in life, the good things that happen, you shine a light on those things and you embrace those things. Don't be just a humble lion. Be the lion, shine. Appreciate every win that you do. Even the wins that you don't know are wins. You know? Were you able to help somebody out when they needed it? Were you able to talk to a family member and bring their spirits up? That's a win. But also the negatives. When negative things happen, we want to shine the light on that, find out the lesson, and embrace that. Embrace the fact that when bad things happen, we didn't lose. We only became stronger. So that all of these split energies of good and bad, and oh, I'm happy, but I'm ashamed about this, we want to amalgamate them. This is why I call it inner alchemy. We take all of these split pieces and we swirl them together and we create this pot of gold. Okay? So you think you can pass me a charger for the computer? So yes, we begin to make these things gold. And then here's the big part. Here is the big part now that I've explained all of these prerequisites. Okay. Now, this is where you have to do the work. You have to know what your mission is. You have to find your purpose. I'm telling this to IG Live. I'm telling this to you. You have to find what is the thing that when I do it, I feel whole. When I do it, I don't feel divided. My brother J Harp. What it do, brother? But the thing is, when I do, what is it that when you do it, you feel whole? When you do it, you feel powerful. It's natural for you. Like even something like me, man, I had to think about it. Like I freestyle. Speaking of my boy J Harp, we used to freestyle all the time in the car. And it was like freestyling was just something that was natural for me. It was like it just was meant for me to do. Like the words just come, they flow. So I could look at it and be like, okay, well, freestyling is cool, but I got to do my 9 to 5. I got to do my work because that's more important than freestyling. That's wrong. I freestyle. That's something that I like to do. I like to make music. So now I'm going to find a way to make that a part of my life so that I don't have to divide my work with music. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you want to know what your purpose is, the first thing you have to figure out is what's easy for you. Because the things that are easy for you, that's harder for other people, right? It's easy for all of us to turn the TV on and watch something. But there's something you do when you're around your friends that they can't do, or that they have a hard time with. Because I have friends who cannot freestyle at all. Most of them can't, actually. Most of them can't. So once you understand that you have that, regardless of what society deems as valuable or not valuable, you have to say, look, if it's going to be something I do, and it's a part of my life, I'm going to amalgamate it, like I said, like an alchemist. I'm going to add that and sprinkle that into my world. That's a part of my purpose. Let's say you know how to communicate well, you know how to talk to people naturally. You're a good communicator. One person might say, oh, communication is cool, but that's not everything. Another person might say, look, I'm a good communicator. That's part of my purpose. Okay? So just like we said about the example of trying, we don't want to be 5'2", reaching for the shelf. We want to look and say, okay, I'm 5'2", and I'm going to pull from the bottom shelf because that's what my purpose is. That's what is easy for me, or that's what is smooth. It's what flows for me. So the things that flow for you, the things that are natural for you, you need to begin to embrace those things. And you need to figure out the things that you're passionate about. Because a lot of people are like, I don't know what I'm passionate about. Like, I like to make music, but I don't know if that's my purpose, or I like to talk to people. So what we have to say is, look, is it something that you will do? Here's how you can tell what a passion is. And this is what I tell people. You know, if you had $1 million and I give you $1 million right now, and or $20 million, you had all the money, you had all the cares taken care of, right? How do you think maybe you don't have to put a table back? Okay. So you want to come through here? Sorry, everybody. Give me 1 second. I'm getting the charger for the computer. You think you can get through? Okay. So the things that if I gave you $1 million, if you had no cares about money or anything, and I just said you just had to live life, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Whatever it is that you would do if you didn't have to worry about no money, no nothing, that's your passion. That's the purpose. It's the things that you would do anyways. It's the thing that you do for free. It's the thing that you do for free. What do you do for, some things people have to pay you for. It's like, I gotta get out of bed and do this. But then I know some people who, it's certain subjects that if they talk about it, they will talk your ear off about it. And uh, they'll do it for free. They don't even know that they want to do that. That's the purpose right there. It's easy to miss. It's very subtle. It's very easy to miss when we talk about purpose, because we always think of purpose being this big, super bigger than life thing. But it's very simple. What would you do for free? That's the purpose. What is effortless? What is natural for you? What do you do in your own time? That is the purpose. You must figure out the purpose. Because I'm telling you right now, if you spend another day in life, if you spend another day in this experience of life without figuring that out, okay? Especially for the people listening to the show, the people who have this thing in them that wants to know more, that wants to be better, that wants to be greater, that wants to evolve. Because this is for you. The stuff I talk about isn't for everybody. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm not trying to speak for everybody. That's why if some people might send me an attack or, oh, I don't agree with that. I'm like, you don't have to agree with that. You think I care? That's good for you. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope that makes you happy in life. I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing because I see the effects of my life. Okay. I've beaten things. I've beaten these things that people are dealing with without the pills. And even when I didn't know I could, which goes back to the beginning of the show, when we talk about us group of people have to be at the cusp of the consciousness. When people think that it's too far out to be able to live at 150 and not to be able to, what if I told you you could live to 150 years old with no illnesses, with no sickness, and shine beautifully, and you can die when you feel like it? Like you'd be like, okay, I'm in here long enough, I'm gonna just die peacefully. Just push a button. You'd be like, what? I believe I can do that. Like I don't believe I know that's possible. At the core of my heart and soul, I know that's possible. Because I'm not looking at what is as the metric for what's possible. Because if we did, guess what? There'd be no advancement. We'd still be using sticks and stones and have those sticks with fire in caves right now, right? So we have to understand that we have to be at the cusp of knowledge, of possibility, and we have to embrace that. And so when you find your purpose, the whole idea of your purpose is that it puts you in a scenario now where you're not divided, where you're not moved. So, okay, there's going to be, somebody could say, okay, there's a war that's going to be coming up. It's this big war going on. In my mind, I'm like, look, I ain't got nothing to do with me. My goal, what I'm doing is based on my purpose. All right. Let me give you a technique that's big. And I want people to write this down. You have to make a personal contract to yourself. We're so quick to sign contracts to get a cell phone, quick to sign contracts to get a car, quick to sign contracts to do all kinds of, to get a job. But have you ever signed a contract for yourself where you say, I, XYZ, is blah, blah, blah. I'm a master of my domain. I am not shaken. I move through life powerfully. I create and get anything I desire. I have no fear. I have no anxiety. Begin to write this down. Put it on paper. Make the agreement with yourself. This whole idea is you must solidify it within your internal world that this is what I am. It's no more guessing. The energy is no longer split. Because if the energy is split, if I think I can do it, but I might not be able to do it, you have two different ideas pulling from your energy. Your energy can't shine like the sun. When it shines in one direct place, it's like when you put a magnifying glass there and it just burns. That's what we want to have when it comes to our mind. It's one ray of energy going towards what I want. Versus you got two magnifying glasses and you're trying to fucking split it, and now it's going both ways. It's still hot, but you just divided the energy now. So instead of having 100% power, you're now split down into 50. That's what we're doing every day in our minds. I see it every day with people. They want to, oh yeah, I want to do real estate. I want to do this, but first I got to take care of this. You know why? Because real estate isn't really a purpose. It's still in the idea phase. You need to sit with yourself and figure out, what am I doing here with my life? You can't spend another day just just loafing around, just okay, this is another day figuring shit out. That's done. What is your life about? Go within yourself. You might have to be in a quiet space by yourself for a period of time and say, man, what do I really enjoy doing? What is natural for me? What brings me to life? What energizes me rather than takes energy away from me? That's a big thing. What is it that when you do it, you have more energy? Figure that out. And then figure out how you're going to align that in your life so that it can become a purpose, like a real purpose. And when you figure that out, I want you to begin to now add emotion to it, add energy to it. Why? The why. Why am I trying to do this? Okay, I like it, but why do I like it? I like it because it allows me to express myself so freely in a world where everything else seems so linear and boxed in. But when I make music and when I do whatever, there are no rules. Okay, that might be your logic for it. Perfect. Run with that. Okay, run with that. Because once you figure out the why behind the purpose, you now have the stability to hold you up like a king on the throne or a queen on the throne. The why. I'm doing this because I was meant to do this, because this is my purpose. So any outside thing that comes at me, because they're going to come, don't be fooled. You're not going to beat universal law. You're not going to beat polarity. If you could, trust me, we would have been dead. Okay. Same thing with masculine and feminine energy. We have masculine and feminine energy within us. They're no longer divided. They're operating as one. I like to think of the purpose almost as the masculine force that pushes you forward. I like to think of the feminine force as the chaos, as the creativity. So as you're moving forward, this chaos and creativity is where you pull from to continue to move forward. Because when challenges come, you go within and you say, okay, this happened for me because of XYZ. Then you go right back to your purpose. What do you think made MLK so bold during a time that was so crazy? Even beyond MLK, so many civil rights leaders that were like I watched. What's the guy's name? One of the guys that I watched a documentary on. This dude is so powerful, And by the way, I got 2 minutes left on the IG live. I might reload it, but make sure you log in on my Zoom. The link is in my bio. We're almost closing up, but yes. So, what made them stand like giants in the face of so much oppression? Like I would look at the videos and be like, "Wow, this looks scary." Like it'd be a whole group of white people looking like with suits and ties on, looking like they all a part of the KKK. And there'd be one black man just standing there, and they had a debate. And this one black man is having a debate in front of all of these people, and he's unshaken. And I'm like, what makes this dude unshakable in such a scary environment? Like they can just grab him right now and do whatever. In a time where the court and the systems and the governments weren't working for you, what made these men dealing with? Look, when it comes to African Americans, we're only 13%, 12% of the whole US. Imagine back then. What made a guy that's a part of a 5, 6, 7, 8% group go against the 92%, 94% and not be shaken? You know what that is? That's purpose. They knew that even if you take my life, I now have something that's more valuable than even my life, that's more valuable than my survival. Everyone else is trying to survive. The only way you can let go of survival is if you have something in your mind, an idea that means more to you than even your own life. Exactly. IBK, we weren't the minority because people are looking at the physical stuff as the minority, but we're talking about the spiritual. We have the big energy while all these 90,000 have a little bit of energy. And I'm about to reload the IG live, so stay tuned. But, when we talk about this energy, when we talk about being able to stand your ground when the world is against you, you could save it and then you could share it. And I think, see if you could reload it. But when the world is against you, right? And you find yourself in a scenario. Let me do this. Y'all wait for me real quick. We're just getting this live set back up. Okay. So when the world is against you and when you are a part of the 1% battling the 99%, right? What allows you to stay strong in that situation? And in that situation is very simple. What allows you to stay grounded, what allows you to not be shaken through the polarity that occurs is the purpose. So when you see everybody walking around and they're dealing with all this stuff and they're dealing with anxiety and depression and flipping around, I feel this way one day, I feel sad the next day. I love my boyfriend and girlfriend today. Oh my gosh, I hate this motherfucker. Blah, blah, blah. He never paid attention. To me, it's like, look, whether it's me or whether it's Michael Jordan or whether you're dating Stephen Curry, as we saw, like it doesn't matter. There will always be something that makes you feel very happy and powerful this time and very negative and sad this time. So what we have to do is first of all embrace all the pieces of ourselves, good and bad. Realize that the bad is meant to just make us more powerful. And then what we want to do is understand that we need to know what we're here for. Don't waste another day. Don't waste another day on earth not knowing what you're here for. Because you know why you're here for your job. What if I told you that your job is a microcosm of the macro? You have a bigger job. You have a bigger job. You have a bigger thing to do. Tap into that. Because if you want to have more frequency than this humanity experience, you have to tap into a bigger purpose than just surviving and just working and just living. You have to tap into the bigger purpose. So, in conclusion, I want to give everybody their homework assignment. Number one, make sure you understand what the law of polarity is. Make sure you understand how good and bad works so that you're not surprised when, right when everything was good, you get in this car accident, or right when everything was good, your girlfriend or your boyfriend's mad at you. We can't be moved anymore by that. That's expected. Like, I know something good's going to happen. I know something bad's going to happen. The same way I know that it's going to rain in one day and it's going to shine bright one day. Like, that's just external stuff. What I want you to understand is we're no longer splitting our energy. We're no longer taking on lesser characters. We now begin to control the framework rather than the external control the framework. And what I want you to do is, as I said, study that law of polarity. But more importantly now, I want you to figure out the purpose. Today, tonight. You can't leave stuff to tomorrow because there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. Like, there is no yesterday. There's always the present. I realized, I was like, man, like I thought about it. And I was like, dang, I think I might have been the same person since like middle school. Like the people I've known since middle school and high school, like you thinking like, okay, man, we're 28, we're gonna be doing this. Everybody's not that much different. Like once you get to about 13 or maybe even 11, 12, 13, you are who you are. You can, fancy it up. You can learn a lot, but the core you is there. Okay. So if you keep pushing things to tomorrow, you're missing it. There is no tomorrow. Today, you decide, what is the thing that I do? What is the thing that brings me to life? What is the thing that gives me energy? And then I want you to figure out why that is important and why that is going to be your purpose. And then once you do that, I want you to write a personal contract to yourself. You have to write a personal contract to yourself where you write down how you want things to be moving forward. And you sign that thing after that contract and say, I hereby swear that Johnny, whoever that John Doe, I hereby say that John Doe is going to operate this way toward my purpose from this point forward. And then here's the last piece. You have to read that every day for at least 30 days. Read it every morning. If you can, read it 2 times a day or 3 times a day till you remember it. And so that it can sit in that subconscious mind and just sink right in there. Okay? And once you do that, make sure in this personal contract you can add in there, I have abundance, I have wealth, I don't struggle in anything, everything is perfect. once you do that, as life moves forward, right, you're going to begin to see things subtly change for you. You're going to begin to see that split energy no longer affect you the same way. Because guess what? You're no longer being three different people. You're no longer being a son to your mother, a manager at work, and this person at church or whatever. Like, you're one person moving towards your one or many purposes. And if you are going to divide your energy, it's going to be a character that you choose. So, okay, yeah, I'm not a Johnny right now. So when I go to see my mother, I'm going to be the royal king that sees my motherly queen. Now, she's going to say you're just Jacob or whatever, but I'm not worried about that. It's not about what she thinks. It's about how I interpret the experience. And what you'll notice is that frequency is going to be much more attractive and much more of a brighter experience than being John Doe that's seeing my mom because his mother's there. That's too small. People have been working too small. So write that personal contract and become one with that idea, with that purpose. And I want you to repeat it to yourself every day. And then when you move forward, you let it go. You let it go. The contract, you memorize it, it's in your mind, and then you let it go. And then you just move. And things around you are going to change. Bottom line. But the last thing I'll say is, as you move forward, once you write this contract, once you understand what your purpose is, once you know the why, once you realize that we won't be ashamed of our humanity and of our negative experiences, we're going to embrace our humanity. We're going to embrace our negative experiences because that's what makes us fucking powerful. I can't pull from that nice angelly place if I want to fucking shine. I got to pull from that dark side. Oh, yeah, I'm an animal. Yeah, right. I'm an angel, I'm a king, and I'm an animal. Now what? You're not dividing me no more. You know? So, last thing I say is once you read it to yourself every day, once you memorize it, blah, 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 you let it go, and then you move forward with certainty, no longer faith, which is going to be hard because it's easier said than done. But you're already doing it. You wouldn't be listening to this if your spirit wasn't telling you that there is something there for you. There's a gem in here for you. There's something in here that you had to hear. And whatever you had to hear in this conversation was what I'm telling you now. And here's what I'm going to tell you as I close out. When I was I was taking a shower, I was tapping into the energy for the podcast. And I asked my inner self, I said, what is it that you want me to let them know? And here's how I'm going to end it. I said, what do I need to let them know? And it told me, you have to remind them who they are. That's all I'm doing here today. That's all I'm going to be doing every Sunday. That's all I'm going to be doing all the time when you watch my podcast. I'm going to remind you who you really are. When the world is telling you you're John Doe that needs to come to work, you're late for work today, right? That small energy. When family's telling you, oh, you're not on top of your stuff, blah, blah, blah. That's small energy, right? They're trying to tell you what your world is, right? When people are telling you, oh, yeah, man, that song was all right. Or, yo, yeah, I like your picture. It was cool, right? Bro, we don't care what you saying, because if Diddy stamps me tomorrow, you're gonna be riding the bandwagon because you focus on the outside. You too slow for me. You focusing on the outside, bro. Right? So I want you to understand as I close out that all I'm doing today is reminding you of who you are, because the world isn't gonna remind you of who you are. The world's gonna tell you who you aren't. When you look at IG, when you look at TV, when you're looking at everything you're not, right? When you're watching music videos, rap, whatever, they're telling you who you're not. I'm here to remind you of who you are. And what I'll say is the person that you are is, if you knew who you really were, that's why I want you to do that work, to figure out your purpose, figure out who you are for real. Who is that big character that you really are? Once you realize who you really are, There's no turning back. Once you realize who you really are, you realize that nothing can stop you. So, with that being said, I thank you for tuning in. You know, we live from the underground. And I hope you learned some good gems from this. Hope you wrote down some good stuff. Definitely watch it again. We're going to have the recording posted tomorrow on godjohnny.com. It's also going to be on my YouTube, which is God Johnny Speaks. GODJANI Speaks. And watch it. Write down the notes. Write down the gems. I'm telling you, this is going to change your life. And I'm only going to go deeper. Like, this was an intro. So we're just getting started. And with that being said, man, does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions before I log off? I can definitely give you some power. Anything to power you up, any challenges going on in life, go ahead, throw them at me. And I could show you how we take negative things and reverse them and shine the light on them, and realize that there is no failure, there's just results for me to become more powerful. Any questions here? Any questions from anybody over here? You have any questions? No? Okay. All right. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure you get on this live stream. I know this is the first one, so everybody's getting used to the info, but we're live every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. I'm going to be bringing you some hot fire straight from the higher realms. Like, you ain't even going to get this nowhere. And it's going to be just for you. So that being said, thank you for listening. We live from the underground, Inner Alchemy, episode 1. We gone.